you need that. You need to play better than Wednesday against Ankara. Like I told you to my player, you play a good game Wednesday, but at the beginning of the game, it's really difficult. It was really difficult for us. And if you want your chance to win tonight, you make a best game, better game, during all the game in jump ball until the end.
Have you realized that if there's another victory tonight for your team, many people will consider you as a really big favorite for the trophy?
Not me, because when you see the three last team, Aruca, Zaragoza, and Burgos, I think the three others is favorite. Dijon is every time the underdog. After sure you try and you give the best and maximum on the court, but you are not favorite on this game on the tournament.
Mana bunyi dia menarik.
Yeah, it's a difficult game, but it's normal. It's a semi-final Champions League. We play with a great team. Dijon play well basketball, but I think the most important for us is to think in our things and be together in both sides of the court, in defense and in offense.
Your players seem to feel very nice, and many people expect from you to be as competitive as you are all the year. Should we expect this tonight?
Yeah, I think I have a players with experience, and the last game is finished, and today is an important game for us, and I watch my players with a well mentality, and I think I do a good game.
Dijon looks like a very dangerous team. How have you prepared to avoid any surprises?
Dijon play a great defense, athletic players, and in attack, in offense, they create and score a lot with their guards, Holston and Julien. I think we have prepared well the game.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Athens, Greece. This is the Basketball Champions League Final 8, and today is semifinals day, and we're going to start things off with Pablo Burgos and JDA Dijon. Well, before this whole thing started, we thought we might see some surprises, and I guess you'd have to say that a lot of people expected Turk Telekom to beat JDA Dijon to advance, but JDA Dijon played great defense, and they got the big win. You can see in that bottom left quadrant, they won against Turk Telekom, so they advanced to face a Burgos team that really did just kind of manhandle Hapoel Jerusalem, perhaps with the benefit of having had a lot of games, or a few games anyway, already. But now both of these teams that have had games this season, Dijon having won against Asvel and also having won their round of 16 decider against Nizhny Novgorod, they're going to square off, and nobody should take this French team lightly. They're going to be coming out and they're going to be determined to do their best. I'm Jeff Taylor, joined by Mark Clark, and I guess really, Mark, the big question here is this Dijon team for real? Did we see a really honest example of how they can play, or was that just a blip, and we're going to see Pablo Burgos roll to a big win today?
Well, in answer to the first part of that, Jeff, I think we saw the real deal. I thought we saw a team, this roster, that has a particular way of playing. They really did make the most of their defense. They turned the game into a very broken game. They broke up the structure. They kept the game a real loose game. And their athleticism was great. And Julian in particular just filled it up from the perimeter. They have enough talent that if they can get points off their defense, they're going to stay with anybody. The trouble is, this roster, the Burgos team, has scoring potential 1 to 12. So if the game gets a little disjointed, it's the best way that Dijon can potentially win the game, but they're going to have to really knuckle down one-on-one and really protect the keyway, really force the ball onto the floor, force the ball into areas of the floor that Burgos don't want to go to. Because if they just play this game and run up and down, Burgos will score too many points. They're in a very, very rich vein of form. Their rhythm is good offensively, and they're pouring in points in the ACB. As we said on the opening night, after a tough loss against Barcelona in the first game, had 2 big wins, scoring points. And this roster, you know, Alex Renfro, Ken Horton, Rabaseda, Omar Kot, all these guys can score. Every single guy on, and the revelation for me for this team, Dejan Klavic, who really does give them that inside presence and the stability on the inside that they built this team around. Peñarora's got a great team. He's 1 game away from a final. He has a real opportunity for this organization to win some silverware if they can get beyond Dijon.
Well, you mentioned him. Dejan Kravic really set the tone the other night against Hapoel Jerusalem, was really beating his men down the floor and scoring, and he was, even in the half court, he was having his way. He has that great length, and he just seems to have taken some steps forward in his career since helping Virtus Bologna win the last edition of the Basketball Champions League. But one thing that's very important for all these teams is depth, and we do believe that San Pablo Burgos have really good players coming off the bench, and oftentimes maybe even better players. You know, we're excited to see them again. And Dijon, you know, what was the thing that impressed you the most about them the other night in their win against Turk Telekom?
Well, I think the adjustments they made at halftime in particular, they got down early, but that didn't faze them. And the way that they constructed and just scrambled in their defense, they switched on screens, they just broke up. And it's very easy to work hard, but they worked hard in a really organized way. So that if people did switch, the rotations away from the basketball really did give the middle some protection. So it wasn't just a gambling, it was pressure. And it just wore down Turk Telekom. And in the end, you could argue Turk Telekom flattered themselves by getting it back to 1 point. Because Dijon, when they just played the game and kept it very, very disjointed, they were very, very good. And Julian, French international, yes, but exceptional performance from him. And he really did sort of pick up some of the slack, because David Halston, for him, had a quiet night. And if there's a great sign for Dijon, is that David Halston doesn't normally have 2 back-to-back quiet nights. So he's due a big game today. They need a big game from everybody, though, because Burgos is deep, talented, and I just don't think they're going to stop. They're going to be relentless.
Well, of course, the winner of this game will advance to face the winner of the next semifinal between the hosts, Ike, the club that won it in year 2. And they are going up against Casa de Montzaragoza, and nobody better take that team lightly. Boy, the way they played against Iberostar Tenerife really toughed it out. And I guess a bit of the big news today is that you know, one of the biggest talents in European basketball for really more than a decade, Keith Langford of Ike, has been awarded the title of Most Valuable Player of the 2019-2020 Basketball Champions League season. So congratulations to him and to Ike. And congratulations to all 4 teams for making it this far in the competition. Now, as a reminder, folks, as you look at the players being introduced, the 2019-2020 season was halted in March because of the coronavirus pandemic, and the Basketball Champions League, after several weeks and a lot of consultations with various people, decided it was going to be okay to stage a Final 8. It would be great for the competition, for the clubs. They'd be able to finish what they started, and that's why we have the Final 8. Unfortunately, fans are not allowed because of safety measures, but as the first couple of days have shown, it's been a spectacular event. and we've really enjoyed ourselves. So here we have Dijon being introduced. Monaco made it to the final in year 2 and lost to Ike. So France has had a representative in the title game before. Mike Dijon become the second team. Well, simply, if they're good enough to get to the semifinals, you do not write off their chances, Mark.
No, not at all. And you mentioned earlier on that, you know, their opening game in the French Pro A, they beat Asphalt. And Asphalt, one of the biggest programs in France, has reputation. One thing coach said in his interview is that they are always the underdog. And when a team has that tag and really does revel in that tag, they're a dangerous opponent because, hey, if you walked around, no one expects this team to make the final. When you come into the Final 8, they were not the team on everyone's lips about the team that could make the final and win this. They have nothing to lose. They have no pressure, apart from their own pressure to put up performance on the floor for themselves. You can beat Asphalt, you come out and you beat Turk Telecom. Why can't you beat Burgos? Of course they can. Just that Burgos played incredibly well in the quarterfinal. I suppose to throw it back to you, Jeff, was that the real Burgos we saw, or was that an exceptional performance by them? That's the difficult thing about this competition. So early in the season, there's nothing really to base any judgment on about the last game. You're as good as your last game, good as the result. Burgos was just superb. They put that on the floor again. It's going to take a hell of a performance by Dijon to get to the final.
Well, I love what they've done with the player introductions. The Basketball Champions League have set up all of this technology right before they walk out. They can look at the big screens at their performances, and also, you know, the club that's leading at halftime as they leave the court, they're cheered on by some of their fans that are watching from home. So the Basketball Champions League doing everything they can to add some spice to the event. And was that the real Burgos that we saw the other day? Well, I just, having, you know, watched Burgos play for the last couple of years, just think that this is not necessarily, it wasn't a sleeping giant, but it's just been a wonderful story, you know, a passionate support for the team. And there was no way, there was only going to be one way, and that was going to be, they were going to have success. And when you have the support that they have from sponsors, from the crowd, and you get a good coach, and you hear about the players wanting to go there and play there, you know that they are on the right trajectory.
That's the best statement, Jeff. They're definitely on that right trajectory. It's a program that's going somewhere, and you know, why shouldn't they have big dreams? Because they've got all the right things. Organizationally, they're very good. They've done an amazing job recruiting a team. It's so difficult anyway to recruit teams to get the right balance. They've done it in the middle of a pandemic with all sorts of other things that players are trying to take into consideration. Changing 6, and all the 6 players that left were major players, all big contributors in the rotation. Having to replace that much talent, hit the ground running to be in this position, that's an organization. That's just not a team. That's just not a coach. That's a whole organization. And Burgos, as you say, the trajectory just gives them so much expectation, so much excitement about where this journey could end. Jeff, they have a great balance as well. I mean, you've got from Omar Cook, you've got someone like someone with the profile of Ken Horton, who's just really developed a career. He's now 30. And then you've still got, you know, players like, they never get someone like Jordan Sacco to come into the program. And so they recruit so well. And they got the right people, and that's evident in the way they play as a group.
Well, it's interesting. Dijon have only won 1 of their 4 Basketball Champions League games against teams from Spain. That was against Montaquet, Fuenlabrada in 2019. You see the referees for today: Manuel Mazzoni in the middle, Ademir Zarapovic on the left, and Tomas.
The final, he's got good hops. It really is silky smooth, his footwork. And then you got Thaddeus Mathanin coming off the bench. And that tells you how deep this Burgos team is. They get real punch from the guys on the bench. McFadden came in the other day, strokes the 3, got really going quickly off the bench. And Coach Penaloya seems to have a really good understanding of his group, especially when you consider so many changes and so early in the season.
7 points for Burgos off the 4 Dijon turnovers.
And they've all been in the last couple of minutes, Jeff. I mean, up until the last couple of minutes, there was, not a lot happening from the defensive perspective. No one really generating things, but just that little phase, Benita going literally 8 points in a row, and has really managed to get Burgos going. 1 from 5 from the three-point line for Dijon. Well, they were inconsistent the other night, but then they got it going once Julien got good looks. So that should.
As Johnson flies by Horton, and Horton, look, his feet are set, and no doubt about it. 23-13, San Pablo Burgos on top of JDA Dijon at the end of 1.
Well, those stats don't really tell you the story. The 50% for Burgos, both from 2 and 3, is really nice. They're going to be happy with that. But literally, they trailed 11-8. They end up, with the margin they have now, with a 10-point lead, 23-13. They went 4 from 5 from the three-point line in that period, and they went with 2 layups from Benite. He had 10. McFadden and Horton had 3 apiece, and they just exploited the turnovers that they were generating. It was a team works you out. They find out where they can get steals from, and that's all they did. They generated those turnovers and then completed and turned those turnovers into points. And Dijon were just a little sloppy, and that's exactly what they weren't the other day against Turk Telekom. They weren't sloppy at all. The worrying thing.
The two turnovers that really stand out to me would be the bounce pass by Holston when he was kind of open and he threw it into traffic, and then Alinge, who caught the pass in the lane and then shuffled his feet.
Yeah.
So those were just kind of self-inflicted turnovers.
Absolutely right. It's not. Burgos' defense has been good. The way they're dealing with the pick and roll is really interesting. They're really showing hard and forcing that screen to be set a little bit too far away from the three-point line. It's a little bit too far up the floor, so they can really gamble and get after it in that hard show and then still recover. And that's Dijon alone just almost made it tougher for him to score than it would have been for Van Wyn to score. But the good thing for them is that Burgos have also dried up at the offensive end, and they could have exploited this. Horton's taken a number of threes that you wouldn't really have him down to be a one-pass, shoot-the-3 type of option for this team. There are better early three-point shooters on the floor than Ken Horton. But the rhythm's gone offensively for both teams, and it's going to be interesting to see which of these teams can reestablish that. Some summary, Jeff, of stats, but that last play, Jeff, where they didn't run the break and Van Wyn turned it over, he had no one ahead. That is not the same team that played in the quarterfinals. That no one got ahead, there was no intensity, there was no push, there was no definite decision. And it was just another turnover waiting to happen. 8-4 on the turnover front is just going to hurt you when you're in the place that Dijon are at the moment. They look like they're a tired team who emotionally put a lot into the quarterfinal win. And as I say, 12 points off turnovers. Van Wyn's play in the last possession just summed it up for me. No options down the floor, no one really attacking the basket. And because they were indecisive, they just threw it straight back to Burgos, who went down and
Benita has been scoring everywhere, outside, around the basket. Just a very smart, savvy player, and taking advantage of all of his opportunities tonight. Here's Horton. Seems to be a player who's kind of his trajectory. He's on the right path. He's moving from one club to the next and get bigger and better clubs and opportunities. Watch out for him. He's landed in Spain, and he is going to be a star this season in the Basketball Champions League. But it's the Sacco getting the swat, and David Holston to get anything for Dijon that has really hurt the French club.
Yeah, Holston's a mystery. Only taking 2 shots. That's the mystery. If he'd have gone 0 for 7.
this is going to be, I was going to say, we're going to see some more Benite. But first, we're going to see Chase Simon, who's come out and provided a little scoring punch, 11 points. And he certainly started with the right idea, the right mindset. He came out strong. And he has to be as frustrated as anybody for Dijon that they're trailing. But he needs some help. He can't do it on his own. And this will be Vitor Benite, who has just dazzled. It's almost as if he took the night off against Hapoel Jerusalem and saved it for this game. I remember a couple of years ago when he was playing for Murcia against host Greece.
It's always great, Jeff, when you see someone like Benite. He's an all-star for the season. And he would have been obviously pleased about the win, but disappointed in his own performance. But he doesn't miss a beat. He knows he's going to have some of those nights. He knows he can count on his teammates, and he's come out tonight. There's no negativity. There's no, oh, I was poor the other night. He's just doing a great job.
Yeah, I would tend to say that's kind of how it is with a lot of the Brazilian players. But anyway, can't wait to see the top 16. The top plays. And if Nimbro can keep this thing manageable, here we go again, and the dunk! And that's going to fire him up. Boy, he has got some elevation, doesn't he, folks? Look at this. So the Burgos lead now 10 points. Pappas, beautiful pass from him, and Mitrovic makes it. Horton really was in decent position to challenge the shot. Corpus again. Oh, nice move by Corpus. Impressive. And Benzing follows up his miss, takes the foul, and he's got a chance for a three-point play. Oh, nice dish and the dunk. So Alenge puts his imprint on this game. He's played well tonight. McFadden, meanwhile, feeling it, his third three-pointer of the game. To take the lead. Rice steps back, count it, and they take the lead. This is nice to see. Oh, what a block. Backs up Salim. Some help from Burgos, and he gets into the big thunderous Lenison for the dunk. Boy, how about that for some authority? Down low it goes, and the basket is good from Rokopoulos. Beautiful bounce pass.
Oh, super pass. Three defenders and just put it there.
Well, there's the wide shot here of the arena where sadly we don't have of action. Being provided by all in the Basketball Champions League. One of them will become a champion again. Who knows? Maybe it'll be Ike that will be the first team to win a second Basketball Champions League title. I think a lot of people are thinking they're the favorites. Laurent Legnon right now You can see he's been a very frustrated coach in that first half. What a story it would be, though, if that man right there led Burgos to the title. Burgos had to go through the qualifying just to make it to the regular season. But trust me, folks, this is a club that is quickly becoming a powerhouse. And they will try to use this as a launch pad to continue that upward trajectory. There's a Beersar Tenerife mark that won it in year 2, and of course Virtus and Burgos are looking very good bets right now to make it into that final, but they've still got 20 minutes that they've got to play. The body language looks good, the enthusiasm, the excitement. I suppose everything has gone according to plan for them so far.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. I think that's the best way to describe it. If they could have said, how are we going to play? How are we going to turn this around? How are we going to put our game on the floor? That's literally what they've done. The disappointment for Dijon will be they just have not brought the game that could have got them the win, and they can still do it second half. They were so good in the second half against Turk Telekom, but it's that defensive effort, the way that they chase, the scramble, the switch, making the game a completely different type of game. If they can bring that energy, they have more than an even chance of getting back in this. But as I say, it's whereas Turk Telekom maybe didn't have the weapons to exploit advantage in that type of game, Burgos definitely do. So it's going to be a huge effort. They don't have to do it in the third quarter. If they win the third quarter, they'll be in single digits, and that's really, if they get to that point, then they've got a chance in the fourth quarter. They've got to take it both quarters, get the positive situation after the end of the third, maybe get it to single digits. But it's got to be at the defensive end. They've really got to scramble, really got to make this a game that is disjointed. If it stays the way it is at the moment, Burgos will just roll on to the final. And the great thing for them, Jeff, if it carries on like that, is that about that relatively straightforward win in the quarter. If they can maintain this type of advantage and keep in control, they'll roll into the final. And you'd probably think that with a day's rest, they're going to be more than prepared to be playing a final. They haven't had one of those emotional games. If they can keep this control in the semi-final, they could be in a very strong position going into Sunday's final if they can withstand the pressure that we know Dijon's going to put on them. And that's not far away the last time, whereas the help came, Johnson came to help, but Van Wing got involved in the help. So they had too many people helping, and therefore Benite was wide open. And that's where they weren't against Turk Telekom. They didn't overhelp. If one person helped, that was fine, and they rotated away off it. You've given Vitor Benite a wide open look on a game where he's playing well. That's just poor breakdown defensively. Van Wyn should not have tried to help. He should have actually moved to the next pass, which would have been Benite. Option wouldn't have existed. I mean, Julian with 14 points, he's trying to carry him. Simon's been decent as well. But you've got to say, Julian's the only guy really, and Simon, they've played to their level. Everyone else is just a little step off the pace, and they needed everybody right on it. But there's still time. This team can stop teams and score in a hurry. But they just haven't.
And it really is a case of, almost a case of Benitez saying, right, this thing, let's end this now.
Yeah.
That's kind of his approach. There was like blood in the water, and he went for it. So,
and Jeff,
73-57, 4-7 remaining.
Jeff, the great thing, and we both said it, on quarterfinal night, different guys led the scoring for Burgos, and they got points from different locations on the floor. Benite wasn't great. Horton didn't get going at all. They come out in the semifinal. Those two guys have led them. And Kravitz is still doing, they're all doing good jobs, but it doesn't matter on this team.
Better.
Yeah. Jeff, just while we're looking at these highlights, pick up on that point you made about the organization at Burgos. You lose 6 leading players. I mean, like Earl Clark left. Fittipaldo went to Tenerife. You know, 6. Lima left. They had 6 players, and you're sitting there going, well, you know, we were good last year. We did a good job. We've got to go and find 6 players. All of them got to contribute. And they've come up with a balance that's impressive. You know, Spanish players, they've built some nice local players into the roster. Finding Horton, as you say, Kravitz, and now they definitely have a much more potent group. Individually, there might be some highlights they might miss, but as a group, and to do that, and then Penarroya in a short space of time has got them to gel. Yeah, it's a great job all around by the organization. And those season ticket holders in Burgos are going to have some fun this year. That's for sure, if and when they get back in the gym to watch their team.
Yeah, they waved goodbye to Clark, to Ferran Bassas, Lima,
yep.
Fittipaldo. Well, JP Tokido went early in the season,
yep.
and Vega, they waved, and Huskic, Apic. So a lot of new faces. But anyway, San Pablo Burgos, get up in the clap, folks. Back in Burgos, Spain, your team is in the final after an 81-67 win over JDA Dijon. Ike and Casademont Zaragoza coming up next in the second semifinal.